Good afternoon, garden friends. As I stated in a previous video, one of the things that I want to be able to do is to have my garden in constant blooming throughout the season. And in order to do that, just being able to get those plants that each month I will end up having color throughout my garden. Well, guess what? Growers Outlet is open. So what I ended up doing was making a list of the plants that I want to be able to get that will allow me to have that continuous blooming throughout the season. Now, these first ones, they are spring to late spring, some are early summer for me to have blooms. So let me share with you my list of plants that I am going to be getting from Growers Outlet to incorporate throughout my garden so that I have those continuous blooms. Okay, so I'm working off my laptop. So the first one is called New Vintage Yarrow, and it's white. It's compact. It requires full to part sun and will get 12 to 15 inches tall. And it's hardy from zone 4A to 9, and it is a perennial. It is deciduous foliage, and the flowers will keep their color for months. And you can also dry these. So that's the other thing that I want to be able to do, because so often I sit here and will have the blooms and do nothing with it. I want to be able this season to cut my flowers, either enjoy them in our home or start to dry them and make floral arrangements. So that's the first one. The next one is Summer Berries Yarrow. Pretty much have the same specs, but I wanted to bring in those colors of the pinks and the mauves and the magentas, and it has like an array of those colors. So I'm really excited about getting those. Those go about 12 inches tall and spread 2 to 3 feet tall, including the blooms. So I'm going to, be strategic as far as where I'm going to be placing those at. And these guys like full sun. So I'm excited about having this one also. And the beauty with yarrow is once they are established, they are drought tolerant. And with my garden being a full sun garden, I am trying to find things that, like I said, once they get established, they are drought tolerant, where I am not having to hand water as much. All right, the next one is Leading Lady Charlene's Cornucopias, or Tixie. This too prefers full sun. It will get 14 inches in height and then spread 10 to 12 inches. This is a perennial that is good for zones 5 and 9. Super tough and drought tolerant. Do you guys see the theme that I'm going with? And these end up having frilly double petal yellow flowers on them. Aren't those gorgeous? All right. The next one is more of a ground cover, which is the Mad Magenta Disanthus. These guys are very low maintenance. They like full sun to part shade. Now I do have some in the garden just in spots, but what I want to be able to do is to make drifts throughout the flower beds with the Disanthus. And they will get 6 to 8 inches tall and spread 6 to 8 inches. This is just going to end up looking so beautiful. Another version of the Disanthus that I'm getting is called Double Bubble. Isn't that funny? These guys will also get 6 to 8 inches in height and spread 6 to 8 inches wide. They are for zone 4 through 9. Once again, a perennial. And as you will see, my theme is adding the pinks and the yellows and the purples within my garden, and the whites. And the next is the blue glow gold thistle. These guys will get 3 to 4 feet tall, zones 3 to 8, also a perennial, drought tolerant, encourages butterflies, and is deer resistance. These guys have a very pretty blue color to their flowers. I'm also looking at the evergreen candy tuft. I do have that in my garden now, but I want to be able to add more into a couple of the new garden beds to have that cohesiveness throughout the garden. These guys will get 8 to 10 inches tall and spread 1 to 2 inches wide. Zones 5 through 9, and they are very compact and evergreen. So once the white flowers end up blooming, you will have this really lush mound of green in your garden. All right, I'm going for the grape gumball bee balm. I don't know if you've ever had the new version. This is more of the shorter version of the bee balm. This is a dwarf variety, deer and rabbit resistance. Now, mind you, we don't have any deer, or I should say no deer or rabbits gets into our backyard. So those are good qualities to have. And it is mildew resistance. Now, I do know my other bee balms, the ones that will get about 3 to 4 feet tall, tend to end up with the mildew because of our high humidity. But that's part of the reason why I'm going with the dwarf version, because they are mildew resistant. And these guys will get 2 feet tall. They are also deciduous, and the flowers feature the purple magenta color of the petals. So I am really excited to have this in my garden. I had, I believe, another color of these, but I do think I want that pop of that rich color in my garden. Now, one of my favorites is the cat pajamas cat mitten. These guys will get 12 to 14 inches tall, have a carpet of purple color when you do it in the groupings. These are also perennials and are for zones 3 through 8. Now, another ground cover that I am going to be incorporating into my garden is the Drummond pink creeping phlox. I do have some in the back garden bed, but one of the things that I'm noticing, and I think probably because I did not stay on top of once it flowered to trim it, so those guys are getting leggy. So I'm actually just doing a replacement of the ones that I have, and seeing if I end up cutting them back and putting those in a different location, and then putting these new ones there. They like sun to part sun, zones 3 to 8, and they get 6 inches tall and can spread 3 feet wide. And I think the ones that we have in the garden currently are about 3 feet, you know. So I think that's going to be really pretty, because I'm going with both the pink and the white, and then also the purple of the creeping phlox. Another new plant that I'm introducing into my garden is called Moody Blues Blue-Eyed Grass. This is just such a delicate looking plant. They will reach 6 to 12 inches in height and will spread in the clumps of 2 feet wide. Good for zones 3 through 10, and also a perennial. prefer partial shade, but may grow in full sun if on an irrigation system. I think I'm going to be putting them in an area that is more of a part sun area because I do not have an irrigation system in the backyard other than me hand watering. So I'm excited about having that in my garden. Another new plant is like, there are so many new plants that I want to introduce into my garden. And the fact that they work perfectly for my zone, that is why I am entertaining these new flowers. This is called angel wing foam flowers. They prefer semi-shade area. They will get 10 inches tall and spread 10 to 12 inches wide. The flowers have spikes, so the spikes will get up to 15 inches. And this is the thing, where I'm planting these items at is in my semi woodland area. And I say semi because the area still gets anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of sun. But I'm liking the fact of, because in that area I have like a lot of hostas, I have hellebores in there. So when these guys grow, and because the spikes get up to 15 inches, they will end up being taller than the hostas and my hellebores, so that I have that layering going on in my garden. Now I'm also getting the foam flower in white, and it's called Running Tapestry. Pretty much the same specs, 10 to 12 inches in height, spreads 12 to 16 inches, and then that flower stalk also gets to 15 inches in height. And now a garden staple is the Homestead Pink Verbena. I so love this plant because it is a creeping or traveling verbena. It blooms for 5 months and attracts butterflies. This is hardy for zones 5 through 8. Will get 6 to 10 inches in height and trail 1 to 2 feet a year wide. Okay, so this is one that I'm going to be strategic about where I place it, but then also make sure I stay on top of keeping it trimmed so it's more full while it's traveling, but I have control over it. Now wait till you guys see this one. This is also a new plant that I'm going to be introducing into my garden. It's called Verbascum Southern Charm. It is a new plant, and this is the one thing about Growers Outlet. These are small businesses that end up providing the plants to Growers Outlet. So I'm all about supporting small businesses. And let me give you a little bit of the specs of this. The plant is full sun, part shade. It will grow 2.5 to 3 feet tall. Okay, doesn't that sound gorgeous? And 2 foot wide. Zones 5 to 8. Very heat tolerant and also deciduous foliage. And then the spikes are covered with beautiful florets in shades of buff, lavender, and soft rose. Doesn't that sound gorgeous? And this picture, I don't think does it justice. Now, there's an annual that I want to get, and it's the Harmony Fragrance Stock. I see that in a lot of the YouTube creators that I follow. I think it's she's a mad gardener that she grows them from seed. My seed travels is a whole nother video that I'm going to be working on, but I'm gonna go ahead and get some of these. And like I said, these guys are annuals. They grow 6 to 8 inches and in height. They are for zones 7 through 9. And like I said, they're an annual. It is stated in here, hates the summer heat. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is I believe we're going to be going the following weekend to pick all of these guys up is while we're still having the cooler weather, and the location that I'm going to be putting it is in a part shade area. And last but not least, another new plant is red creeping thyme. This is another ground cover that it will tolerate full sun to part sun or part shade. This thyme needs good drainage to succeed. It will get 3 to 6 inches tall and will spread 10 inches wide. And you know, when I sit here and think of the plant choices that I'm making, mind you, like I said, these are spring flowers. Some of them will, like the yarrow, can last through the summer. I'm just trying to make sure that I have that constant burst of color throughout my garden every season. You know, so like I said, we are making the road trip to Growers Outlet this weekend to go ahead and get these plants so that I can at least, you know, get them placed in the garden for where I want them to go, and then go ahead and get them in the ground. Well, guys, you know, this is the other thing about Growers Outlet. You're probably thinking, oh my God, that's like a lot of plants, because their prices are just so amazing. A lot of these are 3 for $15, and they are the 1 gallon containers. Or I think some of the creeping, like the thyme, it's the 4 ounce or the 4-inch containers, and I think there's either 12 or 15 or 16 of the cells for $28. You cannot beat that, because even with the thyme, you can separate those and get more bang for your buck, and it cover a larger area for you. So I'm so excited to see how incorporating these different flowers at this time will allow me to continue to have beautiful blooms throughout the season. Now, this is Growers Outlet's, you know, spring release. And the one good thing about it is they provide you with a list. So everything that I have chosen based off of the list, they have it in stock. That's the one thing that they do. They keep that list up to date, even tell you, hey, if something's low, tell you if it's something that is on order, you know. So that's the beauty of shopping at Growers Outlet. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner, and I cannot wait to share with you, you know, me getting these plants in the ground and seeing how I end up having continuous blooms. Well, I look forward to you checking out my next video, and if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing my page. Thanks.